Welcome to The Jeweler's View. I'm Courtney Gray, and after 25 years in the jewelry industry, 15 of those running one of the most elite schools in the country, and working with masters and aspiring makers from across the globe, I've experienced the highs, the lows, and everything in between. I've consulted for organizations both large and small, and I work one-on-one with makers who are building their own creative business. In this podcast, I'm here to help you do the same. Whether you're just starting out, maybe you're dusting off the bench, or looking to elevate your craft to the next level, we'll explore topics that build confidence, tackle challenges, and help you achieve your goals. So, what's holding you back? Let's dive in. Anna is a neuromobility coach who helps people move, feel, and function better, especially those who have chronic pain or a health issue they are struggling with, those who work with their hands and rely on fine motor skills and endurance. She's worked with everyone from professional athletes to creatives struggling with chronic tension. And guess what? She used to be a jeweler herself. She knows exactly what our work does to our bodies, and today we're diving into some simple shifts that can help you stay creative for the long haul. Whether you're a jeweler, a painter, a digital artist, a sculptor, this episode is going to help you protect your most valuable creative tools: your hands, your eyes, your body, and your brain. Most of us don't realize just how much strain we put on ourselves until it catches up with us. That slow buildup of tension in your neck, the eye strain, the wrist pain, those things don't just show up overnight, they accumulate over time. So if you want to create for years to come, you need to take care of yourself now. And Anna's going to teach us some new approaches on just how to do that. All right, let's get hands-on. Welcome back, Anna Gieselman. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. So Anna took a little side trip to Mexico. In between, we've decided we're all moving to Mexico.
Oh, it's so lovely. The people are so kind and welcoming, generous, and laid back. It was just great. I enjoyed lots of good food, relaxed on the beach a little bit, and explored different cultural sites and the city. It was excellent. It was a nice 3 weeks. I'm kind of sad to be back.
It really is a different vibe. Sounds beautiful. I'm glad you took that break for yourself. Okay, so Anna's going to walk us through some simple drills today. I know she's got some juicy stuff for us. Things that we can do, I'm assuming, Anna, right in the studio or our workspace. I love these simple things that we can apply right away that don't add to our plate or add to this big daunting list of things that we have to do to maintain our creative lives. So let's dive in, and maybe you can guide us through what you wanted to cover today.
Sure. Well, I wanted to distinguish something that we talk about in applied neurology, which is a bottom-up nervous system or a top-down nervous system. In our last episode together, the drills that I taught you were all vision drills, which are higher order systems. Vision and vestibular are higher order. So that's what we would call like top-down drills. And the difference is, say, for instance, you get in an argument with your spouse, or somebody says something that kind of lights up your nervous system and you feel yourself kicking into a little bit of fight or flight. So in that situation, some people need to move their body. Like for me, I need to either go for a run or get up, move around, stretch, dance. I have to expel that energy through my body. Other people, that's the last thing they want to do. They want to sit down on the couch, relax the body, and maybe play a video game or read a book or look on their phone. They want to use more of their eyes and their thinking, less physical. And so the two nervous systems are very different in what they respond to. And since last week we did all top-down drills, I thought this week we'd do some bottom-up drills for people whose nervous system is more on that train of action.
Oh, I love it. A
Yeah,
little something for all of us, or we might respond differently at different times, you
absolutely.
know?
Yeah. And you can be a bit of
Okay.
both. It's not black and white. Everybody has evolving nervous systems. So you might find that there's a time in your life where you are one way and then you eventually kind of change that
Shift.
way. So yeah. And
I
there's
think I'm
not a,
shifting, Anna.
oh yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel that. I do, because I'm not responding to things like it's such a heightened way. I don't know. Maybe talk to my husband about that one.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm working on it. I'm
and
working on
it's
it.
very good to in your relationship to know what you and your partner are, because if you're a bottom up
Mm,
and you're like, I need to step away from this conversation and go walk and move, and the other person is like, no, wait, don't leave. Let's stay in this situation. Let's talk it through. Let's think everything 10 times over. That's a little bit of a mismatch. And so being able to understand each other and say, okay, I know what you need, and I'm going to give you space for that, but then we need to regroup, address
yeah.
whatever's going on.
Yeah. Take a pause, get your nervous system in check again, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
calm yourself down.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I guess that's what I mean. I'm trying not to be so reactionary. Instead, I'm trying to respond to things with logic or compassion and just slow down, take a beat
Breath.
instead of take a breath. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let's get into that. We need to definitely do some breath. Anna, just come every time and we're going to start every episode we'll do with Anna and we'll all just calm our nervous systems down, get ready to receive, right?
Your comment of calm down. A lot of people think of like, oh, your nervous system needs to be calm, but a healthy
Mm,
nervous system can be both calm and
okay.
active. You can get stuck in too much. It's not even really what I would call calm, but where you're kind of frozen and you're
Mm,
unable to take action and say what you need to say and do the things. So, you could be in either direction, but we don't always want to be calm. We want to be adaptable and
mm,
responsive to the needs of the body and the needs of other people as well. Yeah.
absolutely. Would you call that the freeze, like the F's, the fight,
Freeze,
flight, or
a freeze
freeze?
or flop. Flop is another one.
Oh,
Flop would show up in the world as not exactly lethargy, but to where you can't really take action. It's just
mm,
really hard to motivate, to move.
to do anything.
Yeah, and, like, when you think of
Yeah.
it as an adaptive response, flop is usually like, you see animals do it, where they play dead, and that's a flop response, and
Got-
one's experienced trauma at a very early age where they're not in control of their body, like a newborn or an infant, they don't have the
mm,
option to run or fight, so there's a few options, and one of them is to flop, to just disassociate from the body, just check out. That's kind of where flopping comes from. You can be in a sort of freeze and a flop state and still live your life. Just have a hard time. You're lots of procrastinating, lots of not wanting to step into hard things or step into your own truth or speak your own mind. Yeah, it's one of the F responses.
those F words. I don't know if we like any of the F words. Yeah, I think I've experienced like each of those in different phases of my life, different chapters, and I've also witnessed them. When you explain the flop, I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. I've
Mhm.
seen it. Oh, this is so much deeper than talking about wrists and hands. There's so much more here to it. But okay, give us some
Okay.
simple things we can do to check in with the nervous system.
So we're talking bottom up now, and those are
Hmm.
people that their nervous system responds best to things through the body, like physical movements. And most jewelers that I know have a tendency to kind of hunch over their piece, whatever they're working on. So I see a
Yeah.
lot of, I don't want to say bad posture because it's not even really that. It's just bad mechanics of where you get really involved in what you're doing and you're looking down, your head's tilted forward, you're leaning forward. And that definitely can wreak some havoc on your neck and your upper back. So I wanted to show you how to do a thoracic glide. The thoracic spine is basically like the upper back from the base of your neck down to the base of your ribs. That's all thoracic. And
Hmm.
the spine, all of the spine is what we would call a joint rich area. It's tons of little joints. And
Right.
all of those joints have mechanoreceptors. So when you move the joints, your brain gets a bunch of information about what the joints are doing. And since the brain is constantly looking for good quality information to determine if you're safe or not, when you give it new information and move your body in different ways that it's not used to, especially if that area has a tendency to be kind of stiff or stuck, the brain's like, "Oh wow, look, you're I haven't moved that in a while. That's interesting." Yeah, you can get a really positive response. So, I usually have people take two different assessments, one being like in their shoulder or in their neck, and then the other being in the actual rotation of the thoracic spine. That way you can feel, because a lot of times when I teach a drill in an area like say a thoracic glide, If the assessment is also in that area, people are like, oh, well, I'm just warming up. That's like their explanation for why it worked. That's why I like to measure something else in the body that is not related to the thoracic spine, because if your brain likes the input from whatever you're doing, the entire system, the entire nervous system will respond positively. So if you have a sore neck, it hurts to turn your head right to left, and you vibrate on your feet, and your brain likes that, your neck's going to have less tension the next time you check it. So that's kind of what I mean. Like a change can happen systemically from
Hmm.
one action in a specific area. Since so many people are really stiff in their upper back, thoracic mobility can be a game changer. So
Okay.
I know not everyone's going to be watching this, so I'll do my best to talk us through it. But
Perfect.
uh, it is helpful to come back and watch the video if possible.
Yep. And
And I
don't forget,
mean,
you guys,
oh,
it's on YouTube at the Jeweler's View, and I'll pop the link into the show notes as well for you guys, so you can watch this later in the studio or at home or sitting on your couch. Check that out at the Jeweler's View on YouTube.
yeah, if you're driving your car, don't do these exercises. I hope that's obvious, but just in
Thank
case.
you for the
Oh,
disclaimer.
before we do this, we have to assess. So, see how well your neck rotates. Just take a few rotations, turning right and turning left. See if it's
Oh,
sticky
mine's
on
tight.
one side. And if it
Okay.
is, kind of in your mind's eye, measure like, okay, it's a little bit, it's like a medium tightness to the right or left. So that's one. Then you're going to also rotate your torso. So cross your arms across your chest, kind of like you're hugging yourself. And you're going to rotate your spine right to left. So you're twisting to the right, to the left. Again, noticing how well do you twist? Like, how far do you go? How does it feel? Is it sticky? Does it hurt anywhere? So I have some space to show you my
Cool.
body. Okay, so thoracic spine, it's basically the middle section of your spine. And we're going to move it through flexion and extension first, and then we're going to move
Mm.
it through a little bit of a lateral glide. And most people have a really hard time moving this part of their spine without also moving their low back. So, as best as you can, you're going to try to not rock your pelvis or move your low back around. If you happen to be watching this and you have like a yoga block, you could take the yoga block up against your back in between the chair and the back of the chair. That way you have a little something that stops you from moving your low back. But I'm assuming most people probably don't have that. So we're going to proceed as if you don't. So for the flexion and extension, you're going to take your fingertips to your sternum. That's like your breastbone, as some people call it. It's right in between
Mhm.
the breast and also a little bit above the pecs. It's a hard plate of bone. So your hands are going to
Okay.
be there just to give you some feedback. You can take your elbows out to the side just a little bit, like slight opening. So you've got a little bit of tactile feedback about where you're going to be moving. You might have taken a yoga class before and you heard of cat cow. This is the same thing, except it's not the whole spine. So you're going to have your heart kind of round backwards, like your fingers are going to push into your chest. The spine between your shoulder blades pushes backwards. That's flexion.
Okay.
Push your heart forward, your fingers will move forward. That's extension. And I'm going to turn sideways so you can see me from the side. It's a small movement. So it's not so much that your butt's tucking and your head's falling down. It's just at the heart. So you go back with your heart, kind of like you're sucking your heart in, your fingers in, and then you push your fingers forward. Heart goes forward and up. And as you're back and forth with this little pump, you want to keep your shoulders relaxed because a lot of times people will just move their shoulder blades forward and back.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
arms are just kind of hanging out, and your heart and your spine and your rib cage are pushing forward and backward without disturbing the low back too much or without disturbing the shoulders too much. It's not that big of a movement. And you
Okay.
kind of want to drop in. You might even close your eyes and feel like, do I feel this in between my shoulder blades? Because that's where we're trying to achieve movement, is right between the shoulder blades and that section of the spine. So then
Okay.
we're going to stay with this, but you're going to add a small little side bend. So imagine as if you're bending at the armpit. So you're tilting over to the right at your right
Hmm.
armpit. So you've got a little tilt, lateral tilt. Then you're going to do that same pumping action of your thoracic spine. So we're combining flexion and extension with a lateral side bend. So we got a little pump action still in the thoracic spine, right at the heart in between the shoulder blades. And then you'll come all the way up and tilt over like you're side bending at the other side on your armpit.
Okay.
And then little forward and backward pump.
So not a big side bend, right? We're just doing like a little tilt.
Yeah, the tilt is in the upper spine. So if your waistline is getting scrunched a lot, that's because you're bending at your low back. So
Okay.
imagine like you're trying to scrunch your armpit. That's where you're
Okay.
bending, is that portion of
I
your
see.
spine.
That helps. Okay.
Good. And then you'll do a few more of these, forward and backward, and then come all the way back up to center. Take a breath
Mm.
for nothing, and then check in with your neck again, just like we did before. So rotate your neck right to left and see if it feels better, if it's moving farther, if it's less sticky, less resistance. And then you're also going
Mm-hmm.
to reassess the rotation of your torso. So same thing, seeing how far it goes. And I think it's worth saying that if you are someone who moves your body a lot, like you're an athlete or you're a dancer, or you're like constantly moving, you
Mm-hmm.
probably have to do many more reps than what we just did for your brain to really perceive this as novel or interesting. So
Got it.
if you don't move your back that often, this can be like gold to where the brain's like, wow, I needed that. Thank you so much. And rewards you with less tension. But if you already move a lot and you do yoga and stuff, you have to
Mm-hmm.
kind of take it up a notch and make it harder, or do more reps, or add a band for resistance to make it more meaningful to your brain. So,
Okay.
yeah. So
Wait, how would you do the band?
you
I have
could
stretch
you
bands.
could if you have a long enough stretch band, you can
Yeah.
take it around your torso
Mm-hmm.
and have it either pulling behind you, or pulling forward, or pulling to the side. So you have a thing that you're resisting, trying to pull you, and you're pushing against it. So
I
same
see.
movement,
Okay.
just having different directional pulls of the band. I mean, hopefully it's never happened, but if someone ever punched you in the chest, on the sternum, your spine would have to go back. You'd be like absorbing their punch straight in. And then you're pushing the punch back out. Really, sternum, where your fingers are, should be retreating into your body, like you're kind of doing
Mm-hmm.
hunchback shape, and then pushing forward. And it's not the end of the world if your shoulders are involved, but we're trying to target the spine.
Focus on the back. Yeah,
Yeah.
on the
Mhm.
spine. Okay.
Then we're going to do a
Okay.
lateral glide. So sitting where you are, kind of on the edge of your chair, take your arms out to a T. You're going to keep your butt seated. Don't let it rock on the seat. And you're going to reach your upper body to the right and then to the left, kind of like there's a glass of water just outside of your reach, but you can't lift off the seat. So your trunk extends laterally, reaches laterally.
Okay.
So this is a lateral glide. So you should not feel one butt bone lightening up. Both of them stay firmly seated on the chair. And your spine goes right to left. Your arms are reaching out to the right, reaching out to the left. And then we're going to add rotation. But before we do, I just want to make this clear. This is not a side bend. So you're not scrunching one side of your ribs and stretching the other. That would be like a lateral
Mm-hmm.
bend. This is a lateral glide. So,
You're just gliding. You making it look easy.
well, I do them a
Okay.
lot. So,
I
yeah,
got the rhythm with you now. I'm with you now.
good. Then we're going to add a twist. So your heart's going to rotate a little to the right or to the left. Arms are still out to a T, butt stays seated, and you're now reaching on a new plane. So you're kind of
Uh,
going back and then rotate the other way. So your heart turns, and you might
it feels good
find,
anyway. It's like a stretch.
oh, yeah, yeah, I love these. Yeah. Okay. So then come back to center, take a breath, and check
All
in.
right.
See, is your neck better? So that one was more powerful for me than the cat
Mm.
cow one. I had more range of motion in the neck right away.
And then you could do the
You can
cross,
reassess.
the hug yourself, reassess.
Yeah. Then we're going to move on to a cranial nerve drill. So you have 12 cranial nerves. They are innervating in mostly in your brain stem. So when you work with these nerves, it gives your brain stem a little bit more activity, which is great. I think we'll do the tongue. So you're going to use your neck as the assessment. So you're still going to stay with turning your head right to left. See how tight it is. And then hold your right hand up against your right cheek. And you're going to press your tongue inside of your cheek against the hand. The strong push of your
Mm-hmm.
tongue. And you're just going to hold it for about 15, 20, even 25
Hmm.
seconds. You want to get to the point where it kind of feels fatiguing, like a workout for the tongue. And this is for the hypoglossal nerve. That is what moves the tongue around. So when you're pressing into your right cheek, it's the left side of the brainstem hypoglossal nuclei that's getting more activity. So you're gonna hold that breath and then
Okay, I felt
relax
like
your
I got to
hand.
work out.
Yeah, and then check
My
your neck.
tongue got to work out.
Check your neck. See
Okay.
if it feels any different.
Ooh, that one was interesting. I'm feeling that one
And we're gonna
more significantly.
do the
Mm-hmm.
other side. So same thing. Hold your hand against your cheek. Tongue presses inside of the cheek against that resistance, and hold it for 15 to 25 seconds. And it's common that one side will give you a higher payoff than the other. So that's why I
Huh.
want you to assess your neck after every drill, because that way you start to know, like, oh, yeah, for me, when I do it on the right side, I get a better result. Left side, nothing happens. The next time when you're feeling tight in your neck, you just go to the drills you know that work for you. You don't have to spend all your time doing other stuff.
Right. We're getting options right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
How is that second side?
Interesting. Like really good. So how did that connect? That's blowing my mind. And everything's connected. I get that, but
Yeah,
in
and
a
okay,
big
so your brain is in charge of everything you're feeling, including muscle tension. It governs muscle tone. It governs the feeling of
hmm.
pain. It governs your range of motion. Like it's the chief operating system. And your brain is constantly deciding every single second, are we safe or not? Are we safe or not? When it thinks you're not safe, it protects you with outputs such as tension, pain, restricted range of motion. It's kind of inconvenient, but basically it's saying, I don't feel safe and I want to limit what you're doing. So
Mm.
it locks you down. And then when you give your brain inputs in the language of the nervous system, which is sensory inputs, in this case, you're giving sensory input through the hypoglossal nerve. And your brain's like, oh, wow, I needed that information, or I like that. It's novel information, but it's reducing the level of threat prediction. So then your brain's like, we're a little bit safer because you gave me information that I needed. So now I can let go of some of that protective tension. I don't have
Wow.
to guard so much. And the tongue, for most people, it's a really high payoff area. So doing tongue
Huh.
presses, circling the tongue around the teeth, even grabbing the tongue with a little cloth and gently pulling on it can
Mm.
be really powerful for relieving neck strain. That's how I went viral the first time on Instagram,
Really?
was showing people to pull their tongue. And I swear, probably like 100,000 people were like,
Oh my
what?
gosh.
Why did that work?
Wow.
That's crazy. So don't underestimate the power of cranial nerves and also your tongue. Okay,
Interesting,
so
right?
there's that,
Okay.
and then I wanted to show you one more drill, and that would be for your cerebellum. And cerebellum is this little chunk on the back of the brain. It's kind of under the main thing that you would imagine as the brain, and it's really important. It's only, I think, like 10% of the volume of the brain, but it occupies 50% of the neurons. So it's like a
Mobility.
big
Is this
deal.
the one, the right at the base of the skull that
Yeah,
meets where it meets the spine? So
yeah,
that's where
it's
my husband had his stroke.
okay.
Yes.
All right.
And it was so scary. They couldn't do anything about it because they would have potentially paralyzed him to try to stop the stroke because it was
Wow.
attacking that cerebellum. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So we just had to write it out. Yeah.
the job of them, it's kind of like it's constantly double checking all of the plans that your brain has. So the frontal
Okay.
lobes are saying, hey, we want to reach out and grab that glass of water and we're going to go for it. Your cerebellum, it sends a copy of that information to the cerebellum. Cerebellum, it's like the editor. It looks over, is like, is this the correct, are we reaching at the right speed in the right direction? Are we going to actually get the cup or am I going to miss the cup when I reach for it? If your cerebellum is working correctly, it controls your accuracy of movement, balance of your body, and coordination. You need it for everything. You need it to
Yeah.
coordinate walking, to coordinate swallowing, and coordinate the movement of your eyes. So you're tracking things as they're happening around you. And it's so, so important. And one of the many ways to work with it is to do complex non-linear movements. We're going to do a little hand drill. And this is also a little bit of a frontal lobe drill because it takes some processing to think about. For people who aren't watching the video, I'll do my best to talk through it. But if you can go back and watch it, go back and watch it. So again,
Perfect.
you're going to take an assessment. And this time, let's change it up and do a different assessment. So come up to standing and stand with your feet all the way touching, like they're very narrow, touching together. Cross your arms on your chest and then close your eyes and see how stable you are. And if that
Mm.
feels super easy, which for most people it will, it'll feel like fine, then you're going to open your eyes and just step one foot in front of the other, kind of like you were standing on a balancing beam. And start with your eyes open and see, okay, how balanced am I now? And then if you feel safe to do so, you can close your eyes and see how your balance is without your vision. So this is an assessment. First thing we're going to do are hand flips. So you're going to have one palm face up right out in front of you, and then your other palm on top of it, kind of like you're doing a clap of your hands. But instead of
Okay.
doing like a regular clap where you're just slapping them together, one hand's going to stay still. So the bottom hand doesn't move. And the top hand is going to do an aerial little flip. These are hand flips. So the top hand, it's going to slap down and then it's going to lift up, flip, and the back side of the fingers are going to slap down and then lift up, flip, fingers back down, lift up, flip. So it's a hand flip, and this seems
Mm.
really simple, but you're going to go as fast as you can. So you're
Oh,
going to go real quick.
you're way quicker than us, Anna.
And at some point it might get a little floppy and sloppy, and that's your stopping point.
Okay.
Okay. Then you're going to go to the other side. And so you're switching hands. Now the other hand's going to be the stable one, and you're going to do the aerial hand flips, and you're going to go as fast as you can. And don't be surprised if one hand is not good and the other is on point.
Wow, this one's way more fluid on the left. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. Excellent. So
Huh.
then you're going to have your thumb and your pinky touching on one hand and your thumb
Okay.
and your index finger touching on the other. And you're going to go through your fingers, touching your thumb to each finger sequentially, but kind of in reverse. I'll talk you through the right hand first. You're touching pinky and thumb, then the
Hmm.
ring and the thumb, then the middle and the thumb, and then the index, right? So that makes sense. Pinky, ring, middle, index. Just a little tap,
Got it.
tap, tap. While
Hmm.
you're doing that on that hand, you're going to be doing the reverse action on the other hand. You're doing index, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. Again, that's index, middle, ring, pinky. So they're doing the same thing, but in reverse. And so you're just going to go
Oh.
through them as quickly as you can. So we've just done two cerebellum drills back to back. You're going to come back to your stance, how you were. If it was feet together, then feet together. If you
Hmm.
stepped one foot forward, step that same foot forward. You're going to cross your arms and then close your eyes and see if your balance is any better. Since changes at the level of your nervous system are going to be system wide, you can also still check your neck and see how did your brain feel about doing those complex movements with
Yeah.
your hands. So if your neck feels
Okay.
tighter, that is a threat response. That means your brain found that activity threatening. If it feels easier, your brain liked that input into the cerebellum. I mean, there's so many, and that's if you want to get more for free, you can follow me on Instagram. I have a ton there. That's why I don't teach a lot of public classes. I just work with people one on one because everybody's nervous system is different. Some people might respond to every single drill we covered, and there might be people who didn't respond to anything. They're like, nothing happened on this. This is total BS.
Hmm.
So it just depends on your nervous system. You might need higher load, you might need less load. You might be super sensitive and receiving negative feedback from these because your brain's like, whoa, too much. I don't like that.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
everybody's different. It's really powerful to start to understand your own nervous system and learn what it needs more of and what it doesn't really care about and give it more of what it needs.
Yeah. Trying one at a time, I think, makes a lot of sense, right? And
Yeah.
maybe testing it a few times. Very cool.
Take an
Measurements.
assessment,
Yeah.
and you have no idea if anything is working. So don't forget
Right.
that.
The before assessment is absolutely essential so that you have something to compare to.
Yeah.
And last week we talked about even just doing a push up or something
Hmm.
for those who are more mobile, or
Yeah.
perhaps
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
might need a bigger
Higher load.
measure,
You need
right?
higher load. Yeah.
A
So
higher load measure. Okay.
you're an
Yeah.
athlete, if you lift weights all the time, you have high stress in your life, your brain's not going to respond to just like simple things. It's probably going to
Hmm.
want more dynamic input. And if you're someone who's really compromised, chronic pain, TBI, concussion, autoimmune, then just the littlest input can be significant. So it depends on the person.
All of us have something, right? Nobody's functioning perfectly on 100%. There's just no such thing. We all have something
And even
that,
people who are very high functioning, like no pain, no
mm,
digestive problems, no anxiety, they do like high level movements, they can still improve. Their nervous system can still get better at being awesome. So you
right.
don't have to feel like crap and be digging yourself out of a hole. If you already feel good, you can just function better. So it's on a spectrum of rehab to performance.
We talked about vision a little bit last week. Give us a quick, before we let you go, Anna, thank you so much. This is so interesting, and I want to play with it more so I can really sit with the each motion. You're making those look easy. It's not like the finger, that's like rubbing your head and doing the
Mhm.
patting your belly at the same time. I'm not good at that. That's interesting. So it's probably one that I should focus on
This
maybe.
is another one that's pretty good. If you make a fist in each
Yeah.
hand and you stick your
Mm-hmm.
thumb out on one hand and your pinky out on the other, and then
Yeah.
you're going to be switching. So you're just going to,
Oh, see, that's probably, oh, I'm going to say it's easier and then it's not.
once you get it, once the motor map is there and your brain knows the pattern, it's super easy. So as soon as it becomes easy, you have to move on to something else.
Okay, so here's our action step for the week. Thank you, Anna, so much. Pick one of the drills Anna shared today and try it for the next few days. See how it feels. Just one tiny change done consistently can lead to big results. And if you want more resources like this, be sure to follow Anna at Beyond Functional on Instagram. This is how I discovered Anna, again, rediscovered her and brought her back into my orbit, was her Instagram is loaded with all these great little things that you can try, like what we shared today. She's constantly sharing tips. And Anna, how do we get in touch with you if we want to work one-on-one? What's the best way to find you?
You can go to my website, beyondfunctional.net, and just send me a little message there. You can send me a message on Instagram. Those are the two main ways. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, friends, that's it for today. Remember, small changes add up. Take care of yourself and implement one thing from today's episode. That's the goal, to just give you little things each week. I promise you'll feel the difference. Don't forget to check this out on YouTube, where you can watch and follow along with Anna and watch me attempting to keep up. It's at The Jeweler's View on YouTube. So if you want to see those drills in action, be sure to subscribe there. I'll see you next week for another conversation to help you grow, thrive, and create with confidence. Until then, onward and upward.